the newest head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. Coach Tocchet, I've watched 1 zillion introductory press conferences. I've never seen a better one than you had. What you wore, what you said, the Walt Whitman Bridge, everything was right about it. So you knocked that out of the park. What have the days since then been like?
Well, you like when I walked up, Jonesy said you're walking the plank. So when your president tells you that, you know you got a lot of pressure, right? No, it was. It's been a long, process here trying to figure out what I was going to do, and the fun part is you talk to some really smart people. Some of the teams I was talking to, and that part it's enjoyable. It's stressful because as much as you're trying to sell yourself, you're trying to interview them. And there's only so many times in your life that you're going to have some opportunities. There might be an opportunity where you don't have teams looking for you. So it was just the right time to look around and see what was out there.
Well, I mean, the market, at least from this vantage point, seemed huge for you. And a lot of teams were in the mix there and wanting your services. So, what was the thing about the Flyers? I mean, for me, if you're asking me, I'm like, oh, Rick Tocchet,
Yeah.
Philadelphia Flyers makes sense. But for you, what made them make sense?
Well, obviously, I have a history there. That helps. I know the area. The plan though was big. I was sitting with Dan and Jonesy and Dan Hilferty, the president. Where they feel they're at now, where they want to go, the prospect pool that they have, the growth that they want to go, the cap space. The next couple of years, they have a lot of cap space. I think they have 3 first-rounders this year, so there's a lot of positives. And there's pressure with it too. I mean, listen, they're on the back page. They told me, listen, we're not on the front page. It's the Eagles, it's the Phillies. And in the past, years ago, the Flyers were usually, they're either at least on the second page or the first page. So I think that's something that I'd like to be part of that process to be them relevant again. And it's an exciting, it's an exciting job for me.
Yeah, Coach, I think obviously you come to a new team. One of the first things you want to do is establish a culture. And I feel like that word gets thrown around a lot by us and fans, but doesn't have a very distinct meaning. What does culture mean to you, and what characteristics and attributes do you look for in your players to help establish that culture?
Yeah, you're right, Snides. I think process and culture, everybody uses it, right? And what is it? And it's hard to really explain to people in a 2-minute conversation what culture and the process is. I believe every day when a player walks through that door with your staff, with the hockey ops, that they know they're taken care of. Like each player on your team has to pay the mortgage, right? They should all feel important. They all should feel that you're trusted. When that safe environment coming into the locker room or at a practice rink, that they feel safe. There's a lot of outside noise nowadays. Players know stuff even before even the coaches know. So there's just a lot of stuff like that I think it's important that you want the players to feel safe, and they got to trust the coaches. And that's my job to get that environment from day one to help them trust the system.
One of the things that helps earn trust is credibility. Whether it's your coaching stops, the fact you've won a Jack Adams and you've been able to win other places and you've won rings and most Gordie Howe hat tricks ever, how much does that help you in terms of connecting with players that they understand you've worn the seat for this organization? You know what you're talking about, not just because you've learned it, but because you lived it.
Yeah, I think that's important, but also to evolve as a person, as a coach. You're a better coach. You try to be a better coach every year. You try to evolve. You fresh ideas. Listen, I'm not always right, and I think players appreciate the fact that there's a little vulnerability from a coach. Like, I might be wrong sometimes, and I'm not afraid to admit it. There's a partnership there with a player. I think it's important that they have a voice. But at the end of the day, they got to know that you're steering the ship, and every once in a while, you got to let them kind of steer it. There's no dictatorship. The old days doesn't work. It's a generation of why we do it this way, and it's a generation of education. Like, there's an important reason. I like educating the players. Why are we staying on the why are we traveling this way, or why are we not going to practice today? We're going to do this day. Like, I think, and that's where you got to use your departments. I mean, there's a science department now. There's mental skills coaches. I think it's good to use these people and empower them to educate the players and educate myself too, because I'm always learning too.
Yeah, I mean, with that being, talking about always learning, I just find it really interesting, too, because some coaches, when you talk about them and talk to players that have them maybe as an assistant coach, I loved them. And then you talk to another guy who had him as a head coach, who's like, I don't know. And you get it vice versa. And you've had, you know, I was 5 minutes with you out there in Arizona a long time ago, and you were an assistant at that time, but you communicated well with me, and I've heard tons of versions of that. When you're in the assistant role in Pittsburgh, those relationships were great, and we hear about those all the time. And then I heard the last couple years in Vancouver from a bunch of people that was one of the most communicative coaching staffs that some of these players have been with, and that was one of the best attributes. So, you know, has that been something that has just kind of evolved, and you realize, like, you're good at communicating that way?
Yeah, I think you know, I've always tried to communicate, even as a player. You like feedback and, you know, build relationship with coaches over the years. But I think as a coach, you can learn from your players, and everybody's different personalities, and you got to be able to know how you can help a player. Listen, the head coach right now is, and even like trying to pick a staff. Sometimes you might have to pick a guy that might be better at you at certain things, and or it might communicate better with a player than yourself. And you can't be scared to let that guy have autonomy dealing with that player. I think the players appreciate that. Like in Vancouver, we had some guys where they felt they would rather go to this coach rather than me, and that's okay. And I don't take that personal. And I think it's important. That's how you empower your staff, and it also helps you grow as a coach.
Yeah, Coach, speaking of experiences and where you've been, you've obviously had tremendous success as a player, on television, now as a head coach. You're your own guy, obviously, but who has influenced you and who has helped you find your coaching voice over your career as a coach?
Yeah, I think it's important. If you go back, like Mike Keenan was ahead of his time. I mean, obviously the tactics he did then wouldn't work today, but I did learn a lot from him. Then you got Scotty Bowman, who was like a genius matchup guy, knew how to get guys the right matchup, the weaknesses of the other team. He was a genius when it comes to that. Like Jim Schoenfeld to me was like a father figure. You just go down a list of guys like that. When I was in Philly, there with actually Craig Ramsey was a different type of coach. So there's a lot of guys that influenced me and really helped me. And then there's guys that that you've coached with, like that staff in Pittsburgh. Rupper, you were saying, like, I had Mike Sullivan, head coach, great coach. Jacques Martin was awesome. Sergei Gonchar was there. Then you had the Billy Guerins, and then the Mark Reckies and Jason Botterells and Fitzgerald. So and with Jim Rutherford, Patrick Overton. So these guys influenced me on day to day. How do you deal with players, and how do you deal with your to be a better coach? Like I always tell the story. Billy Guerin's one of my favorite guys. I remember us coaches. I was bitching about something in Pittsburgh. I was assistant coach about it, the players, and he goes, "You know what, Talk?" And even Sully, he gave it to Sully one night, and he goes, "Why don't you just guys coach? Let us do our job, you do your job." He did it in the right way, like the way Billy, but he's right. Our job is to coach the players that we have and make them better. And I always remember Billy giving me a little crap about that. Stop complaining about the players and start coaching them. And I take that really serious now.
There was something we saw online that we have to share because we thought it was hilarious. The organization, Philadelphia Flyers, sending this out then and now. And we got a kick out of it. What's your reaction as you look at it?
I wish I had that hair back. And Rupper, I think that's stress, like for us bald guys. It's they're losing their hair from stress. But yeah, the Metallica days, Guns N' Roses. There you go.
Yeah,
Here's Rupper.
Hey,
See?
I didn't quite have that. I didn't quite have the helmet that you had, but I had a little bit of hair up there.
You guys look distinguished.
That looks amazing.
Well, Rupper looks like a guy that was in with the Backstreet Boys. I was more like Metallica.
Nailed it.
Rocker. Okay.
Boy band.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
boy band.
Nickelback.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Chad Kroger.
I'll take that. I'll take that one.
He's actually a big he's more of an Oiler fan, but he's actually a good guy, Kroger. Like, Chad.
Everyone in the game says you're a good guy. So congrats on your new job.
Congrats.
And best of luck with the Flyers.
If you ask enough people, you're going to get some guys that hate me. So keep asking. You'll find them.
We'll let you know.
It was a pleasure.
I appreciate it, guys.
Our pleasure.
Have some fun. Have some fun down the road here with the playoffs. It'll be fun to watch these next the four teams.